Okay. Okay, so let's just get started. Just sit yourself on to your lift, and then try not to fall off your lift. Come into cross-legged position. Just have a little wriggle about. Hold on to your knees, and then lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Look down at the floor. Look at something that isn't moving. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. Just keep your eyes still, looking at something that doesn't move. Taking a deep inhalation and a deep exhalation. Work to really elevate the front chest upwards, really lifting the sternum bone, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then gather the shoulder blades together. And then bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just soften the jaw and the tongue and listen to the sound of the throat. Listen to the sound of the breath at the nostrils and in the throat. And differentiate between the in-breath and the out-breath. Gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, and then just gently raise your head. Just allow your eyes to softly open, and then hold onto your knees, lift and open the chest. Again, trying to really elevate the front chest and draw in the back chest downwards, so the shoulder blade region. Try and draw the skin of the shoulder blades down towards the seat bones, but lift the front chest up, draw the shoulder blades down. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side. So turn to the right, just listen to the breath and use the out breath to turn a little more deeply. And then come back to the center, lift up into the chest, drive the chest upwards, take a deep inhalation, and then turn to the left. Just draw in the abdomen across the ribs, across the shoulders, across. And then come back to the center. Just come off your lift and then just sit back on your heels. Just let the legs just mold themselves into the floor. Just wriggle into your heels. So try and get the outside of the buttock flesh down into the inside of the heels. So you really sandwich your legs together. Let gravity kind of draw you down. So just like sink in the chest. Let the gravity of the environment draw your legs, kind of squeeze them together. So let the legs be passive. Let the chest be passive. Just let the legs really kind of mold into this gentle shape. And then activate the shins. Press the shin bones into the shin skin, especially around the bottom of the shins. So feel that you can really suddenly activate the shins. And then the thighs come into activation. And then the chest comes into activation. Lift and open the chest. Try and gather your shoulder blades together. Draw in the skin over the shoulder blades downwards. So it's drawing the trapezius muscle down your back. Come forwards, keep lifting up into the chest, and then come down onto the floor, breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath, stretching the shoulders away as you come forward, keeping the seat bones down, and then extending the arms away, bringing the head down. If you lose contact between the seat bones and the heels, just edge the hands towards the head very slightly, just a millimeter or two, and reactivate the arms. Turn the tailbone in, really try and work the seat bones back to the heels. Activate your arms, really stretching out your shoulders and your armpits and your neck and your trapezius muscle. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. Just gently press the forehead into the floor. If your forehead doesn't reach the floor, put a block underneath your head. Press the forehead deeply into the floor or into the block so that you quieten the brain. And then come up onto all fours. Just have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and then turn the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Lift the seat bones and the tailbone up to the ceiling, away from the backs of the thighs, and then lengthen from the abdomen, away from the hips into the abdomen, into the diaphragm, into the collarbone, into the chin. So you're lifting the seat bones and stretching the front of the body away for the cow pose. And then tuck your tailbone in, and then draw your chin in to meet the chest. Just breathe evenly, deeply listening to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the center, just come into the neutral position. And then one more time, lift the seat bones up, the tailbone up, and then extend from the abdomen to the diaphragm to the collarbone to the chin. Keeping your arms straight, pushing the hands into the floor, lifting from the wrists up into the armpits, pressing the shins down into the floor, and then release, and then the cat stretch, tucking the tailbone in, drawing the chin in towards the chest, and then come back to the center. So it's our cow stretch. Just one more time, lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling, lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling, and lengthen the front chest. It's this that we want to bring into our dog down. So if you're not doing dog down today, you can just stay in cat and cow, just doing that a few more times, or you can go into Supta Baddha Konasana. So laying on your back with your feet together and your knees apart. So that's if you're not doing dog down today. So spread the fingers on the mat. Have your little fingers on the outsides, the edge of the mat. Keep cow posing, and then step back. Turn the toes under. Push your hand into the floor. Keep lifting the seat bones, and make the action of kind of swooping the seat bones up to the ceiling be the action that you come up into dog down with. So keep your knees bent initially, lift the seat bones, draw the shoulder blades in, let your head hang down, and then straighten your legs. Draw the abdomen towards the spine. So if you've got a really bendy lumbar, then you have to kind of just lengthen the lower back into the sacrum spine just a little. Draw the abdomen towards the spine really firmly to protect the lumbar. Otherwise, just come into the pose, just listen to the pose, listen to the breath. So just taking it easy. So Ruth, lift the tailbone up a little higher. Just really straighten your legs, lift the heels off the floor, go right up onto your tiptoes, right up onto the tiptoes, and then pivot the seat bones up towards the ceiling. That's it. Hit the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs, hit the fronts of the knees into the backs of the knees, really try and open up the back of the knee. Step back a little. Okay, and then just step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position, and then this is where we're going to start using our chair. So get your chair with the back of the chair facing away from you, and then have it in front of you. So when you reach forward, you're going to be able to just keep your hands on the back of the chair and lift the chest. So we're going to kind of refocus on that cat and cow pose shapes. So have the chair in front of you, and then have your feet as wide apart as your mat, with the heels turning outwards and the big toes turning inwards, so that the outside edge of your feet line up with the edge of your mat. So just have your hands on your hips, lift and open the chest, really broaden the collarbone region, and then raise your arms up. Have your arms wide to start off with. So it just helps you to lift the chest up to the ceiling. And then bring your arms so the palms are facing each other, the arms are parallel, and then hinge at the hips and then come forwards. Just bring the little finger side of the hand down onto the chair. So I want you to see if you can come into a right angle. So activate the kneecaps, activate the thighs, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards so that you can broaden the backs of the thighs, and then cow pose. Lift the seat bones up to the ceiling, lift the tailbone up to the ceiling, and then project the chin and the chest forwards. So we're going for a flat back at this stage. It's not like this. We're trying to hinge exactly at the hips. So that hinge has to come from the action of the seat bones. So push the backs of the hands firmly onto the floor to help lift, not the backs of the hands, the outside, the little finger side of the hands into the floor. Keep looking forward into the back of the chair even. Keep looking forward so that you can lift the chest. And then bring, you can, if you can, if there's no problem with your back, you can bring your hands onto the back of the chair. And then stretch your arms away, keep pushing the hands down into the back of the chair, and then keep coming forward, keeping that cow pose action, lifting the seat bones. So if this becomes too strong for your back, then just go back to the top of the chair, and then just rest your forehead onto the chair, but keeping the legs firmly activated, keeping the seat bones lifting, the tailbone lifted like you're doing cow pose, keeping the front of the body long like you're doing the cow pose. So push the hands, so palms facing down, push the hands onto the chair, and just rest your head. So maybe you'll get a much stronger stretch around the side ribs, around the latissimus dorsi muscles. Hit the legs back, press the hands down. And then from there, keeping your head on the chair, just reach down, see if you can find the floor. If you can't find the floor, then just hold on to the chair legs. Just keeping the head pressing down, keeping the seat bones lifting up, keeping the front chest long. So we resist rounding the back. And then if you can go further, if there's no problem with your back, then just slide the chair away so that your head is free of the chair, and then stretch your arms away along the floor so that you're still extending the front of the chest, so that we're really lifting the seat bones, we're lifting the front chest, and we're just sliding the legs of the chair away. So even though we can reach the floor really easily, we're still extending into the kind of the far end of the mat. And then just take hold of the backs of the heels. So maybe you've come down a lot further than you might normally do. Just be conscious of keeping the breath soft, keeping the chin soft. So it's keeping the action from the hips, keeping the front chest really, really long. That helps you to come down a little further. Draw, if you can, draw the body through the gap between the legs, or just stay with the head rested. Okay, and then just come back to the halfway stage. Bring your hands onto the seat of the chair, and then bend your knees to come up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position, and then just come into Tadasana. So just give me a little indication. That means you could feel, thumbs up means you could feel the difference when you're using the chair. Sideways, not sure. Thumbs down. So yeah, so that's really distinct. So that's all thumbs up, I think. So it's a really distinct length in the spine, isn't it? Just from using the chair, keeping the front chest really lifted. So just be in Tadasana, just recovering from that extension, lifting up into the chest. Just breathing evenly, softening the jaw. Okay, and then just gently release. Keep the chair as it is with the kind of back of the chair facing away from you, but just move the chair away a little bit. So just on your mat, so we're gonna kind of come along and stretch into the back of the chair again. So lift up into the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step your feet apart. Turn your left toes in really steeply. Just bring your hands onto your hips, and then bring the right leg and foot all the way towards, so the toes are pointing towards the chair. And then notice that this back leg, hip, the pelvis isn't in line at this stage because this back foot perhaps isn't turned enough. So pick up the heel of that back foot, and then even if you just need to use the chair, pick up the heel and then Tadasana-rise this leg. Really turn the leg so that the heel is pointing towards away from you, and then you can bring your hips more level. So activate the legs, tighten the kneecaps, activate the thighs, turn the thighs inwards on both legs. Take a deep inhalation and then come forwards, and again stretch your arms away and bring your hands onto the back of the chair. So at this stage, I want you to then again lift into that cow pose in the seat bones. So at this stage, you can kind of just wriggle about in the hips a little. You can, if you just bring your hands onto the top of the chair, you can kind of wriggle the hips about, just finding that position where the front of the pelvis is level, where the front of the pelvis is level with the floor. So when you've got the hands on the chair, it's actually quite easy to overturn and to kind of bring that, to turn that back leg so much that the pelvis of that back leg drops lower than the front. So try and keep this pelvic region here at the front level. Reach into bring your hands back onto the back of the chair and then extend the body away. Keep the cow pose, so really lift the seat bones, lift the tailbone, and project the chin and the chest forwards. And then again, just slide your hands down to the kind of seat of the chair, but stretch if you can through the back of the chair. Keep that front chest long. And then again, if you can, you might have to just shuffle the chair away a little bit. Just rest your forehead onto the chair and have your hands either on the chair legs. Chair legs is good actually, or just on the floor at the side. So go back to the legs, really readdress those legs. So this front leg, we often forget about this front leg, but when the head is supported, it's easier to address it. So lift from the heel up into the knee, up into the hip. And then just keep creeping the chair away a little bit. Again, lengthening that front chest. And then bring the hands just underneath the shoulders, and then see if you can lengthen towards the chair. So breathing evenly and deeply with the hips level, with the pelvis level, projecting the chin and the chest forward. And then if you can, just walk your hands back and bring the front of the body along the leg. If it helps, just keep stretching the arms away towards the chair legs. Okay, and then just bring your hands back onto the seat of the chair, bend that front leg, and then step forwards, and then bring the chair over to the other side of your mat, and then come into Tadasana. So just in Tadasana, assess the stretch. So when we're using the chair, I mean, everyone in this group has been doing these poses for, well, at least 3 years, and many of you have done it for much longer than that. But it's good to use the chair because the chair takes the fear of wobbling and falling over out of the equation. So we can then, all we need to do is just to focus on the stretch. And so our stretch becomes much more intense, much more deep. So just lift up into the chest. Stretch your arms down. And in this position, you want more, not quite, but you want a bit more cat pose, tuck in the tailbone in, but without dropping the front chest, we lift up into the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide, in towards the chest, and then step the feet apart and turn your left toes in deeply. So your right toes in deeply, and then turn the left foot towards the seat of the chair. And again, just turn in that back leg heel outwards. So it's almost like you're still in Tadasana. Have the heels in line, and then just lift up into the chest. See if you can bring the front of the pelvis in line. Lift up into the chest, and then come forwards, just find the seat of the chair, and then bring the little finger side of the hands onto the back of the chair, just stretching away. So again, Tadasana-izing the legs, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, lengthening the seat bones up towards the ceiling, and lengthening the front chest forwards. So this gives us more consciousness of the front chest, because we can keep the front chest lifted much more easily. Bring your hands down perhaps to the side of the chair, and if you can, stretch your arms through the chair. Keep lifting the seat bones, keep lifting that front chest. Keep lengthening into the chair, bring the forehead down onto the chair, and then start to slide the chair legs away, keeping your head resting on the chair, or just keeping that front chest long as you come forwards. If you can reach beyond the chair, then do. Bring your hands to the sides of just underneath the shoulders, if you can. Keep that cow pose in the tailbone region, keeping the front chest lifted, and then just see if you can just walk the front of the body just along the legs, Tadasana-izing the legs. Just notice maybe one side is more reluctant than the other. So just try and assess why that is. What is it about the legs, the action of the legs, that feels less like you can extend? So I think bringing the hands forwards, keeping that front extension, that really helps to lengthen the front chest, keeping that tailbone lifting. Okay, bring your hands onto the seat of the chair, bend that front leg, and then to come back into Tadasana, and then come back into just Tadasana, into your standing pose. So that is pretty intense, isn't it? So again, just give me a little indication as to whether you felt any difference in that pose. Yeah, okay, and maybe Kat, you even enjoyed it a little bit more. Well, okay, that's pushing it perhaps. That's not your favourite pose, is it? So lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Lift and open the chest. Just breathing evenly and deeply, just lifting the feet up into the shins, into the kneecaps, into the thighs, into the hips, up into the chest. From the chest up into the neck, into the head, but from the shoulders down into the fingertips. Okay, and then just gently release, and then just come down onto your front, come down onto all fours, and then turn the toes under, come into dog down, or if you're not doing dog down, go into Supta Baddha Konasana. So suddenly maybe your dog down feels just really light. So still resisting the temptation to bring the heels down too soon. It's all about keeping the legs lifted. Breathe evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. So Andrew, don't stay in dog down for too long. Just come down into Adho Mukha Virasana. Just see if you can get that length of the spine in the same way as you could in the chair poses. Lifting the seat bones up, lifting the front chest, so that you find that renewed lightness. Okay, gently come down onto your knees, and then just sit back on your heels and lift up into the chest. So we get a whole new kind of array of extension, don't we, just from using the chair? Because when we're using the chair, there's no kind of worries about, kind of having to balance. The chair does all of that for us. And so we can then just focus on what the legs are doing, what the spine is doing, so that we can really extend, just come forwards and just stretch forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana. Just to level out your energy. And then when you're ready, just sit yourself back on your heels. So we're going to do a couple of back bending poses. So back bends are quite strong, but you have to work your legs really, really deeply in order to protect your spine. So just move your chair out of the way for a minute and just come down onto your front. Now, all of the things that we've been doing in a lot of those standing poses, we can bring into our back bending poses, because it's all about, rather than sticking the tailbone out, it's more like sticking the drawing the tailbone in, so we kind of lengthen the sacrum spine down towards the tailbone, and then we lift the chest. So that's the slight difference, that we kind of lengthen. So but it's all kind of pelvic action. So just pick up. So be on your elbows, palms facing down, and then pick up the legs and extend the legs away, extend into the toenails. Push the tops of the feet really firmly into the floor. Tighten the kneecaps so that they lift off the floor, and then Tadasana-rise those legs. So turn the fronts of the legs inwards, so you feel that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards. And then draw the tailbone in, almost grinding the tailbone into the floor. And then lift up into the chest. So just with the elbows on the floor to start off with, just lift up into the chest. Now you may just stay with your elbows. We can do Bhujangasana. The most important thing with Bhujangasana is that you don't necessarily straighten your arms because you have to keep the pelvis down. If you can straighten your arms and keep the pelvis down, then fine. Otherwise, you don't necessarily straighten the arms. So push the feet into the floor, tighten the kneecaps, bring the hands back so that they're underneath your shoulders. Keep the pelvis down and then lift up into the front chest. Keep the tailbone drawing in, lift up from the abdomen into the diaphragm, into the collarbone. Keep the shoulders down away from your ears. Keep the pelvis down. And then lengthen the chin up towards the chest, the ceiling, if there's no problem with your neck. Breathe. And then just come down. Just rest your head on one side, rest the arms along the floor. And then allow yourself to just relax into the floor. So you may well feel later on in the day that you've really stretched out the muscles, you really penetrated into the muscle through the pose. And that's down to using the chair. And then come back onto your elbows. So again, you might just want to stay at this stage, elbows underneath your shoulders, palms down onto the floor. Just reset your legs, just lengthen into the toes, push the tops of the toes really firmly into the floor. Lift the kneecaps, turn the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs, turn out, and then grind the tailbone into the floor. And then if you can, bring your hands back so they're underneath your shoulders, and then lift up. Keeping the pelvis down, keeping the breath soft. Keeping the shoulders away from your ears. Okay, and then just come down again, just rest your head on the other side of the face. And then just rest into the floor. And then just come back onto your elbows and then sit yourself back on your heels and stretch forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana. Okay, and then just sit back on your heels. Just sit on your heels and lift and open the chest and then draw the shoulders down away from your ears. Just feel how you've really enlivened your energy. So we're going to do the chair pose, obviously, because we're using a chair. So we're going to do Bharadvajasana Vajasana using the chair. So it's a really good way of kind of just twisting the spine. So you're going to sit with the chair facing kind of towards the front of the room, and then just sit with your right side facing the back of the chair. So if your chair slants a little bit, then maybe you need to just put a blanket on top of the chair so that you can just kind of find levelness in the hips. if you can reach a block, it's useful to put a block between your knees and then grip the block. So the feet underneath your knees, but grip the block between your knees, and then that just brings firmness into the hips. So just lift up into the chest, and then you turn to face the back of the chair, and then you, with your left hand, you draw yourself, you hold on, you pull the chair. With your right hand, you push into the back of the chair. So lift the chest and turn to face the back of the chair. Try not to bring your knees with you. Take your knees in the opposite direction. Lifting up and turn. And then come back to the center. Just release the block from between your knees. And then just slide around to the other side. And then again, grip the block of the chair. So these chairs are actually really good for yoga. Those of you who've seen my plays may have recognised this from whenever I've had chairs in my plays. These are always the chairs that I use. They're really good. They're really light. So it's just, and also it's good for yoga because you can kind of get through there sometimes. But yeah, so this is a good chair. It's just for my Keo, I think. My mate Ed gave it to me when he moved once. So grip the block between the knees, lift up into the chest, and then turn back to the chair. Lift up into the chest and turn the spine. Just breathing evenly, deeply listening to the sound of the breath. And then gently come back to the center. Just release the block. Just sit on the chair and just feel how the spine just kind of wants to elevate up towards the ceiling of its own accord. And then we're just going to come off the chair. Just have the chair, the back facing away from you. Come down onto the floor. And then we're just going to roll up, bring the legs onto the chair. And then we're just going to rest down into the floor for a moment or two. So just allowing back to just release into the straight line of the floor, just returning the back into a straight line. So just allowing the body to release a little. So no longer aiming to extend. Just breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. Now we can use the chair to do chair sarvangasana, but it's not necessary. You can just stay, just letting the back soften into the floor. It's nice to just let the back relax. So maybe we'll do chair sarvangasana another time. But just let your back release into the floor. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and deliberate exhalations. So you can hold onto the chair legs and then bring the feet into Baddha Konasana. So again, the back is flat along the floor. Just hold onto the chair legs and just bring your feet onto the seat of the chair and let the knees fall apart. So it's just a variation of Supta Baddha Konasana. Just opens the hips just a little bit more, keeps the back really secure. Breathing evenly and deeply. Trying to draw the knees apart as much as you can. Really opening in the inner groins, stretching the legs away from the body. And then bring the legs back just to sit on the seat of the chair. Let go of the chair legs. And just relax for a moment or two. Okay, and then draw your knees in towards your chest. And then just gently roll onto your right side, just trying to avoid the chair. And then sit yourself up. And then just move your chair out of the way. And then, because we've worked the legs and the back quite strongly, you can have a bolster for underneath your knees for Shavasana and have a folded blanket for underneath your head. You could also even rest your feet on a couple of blocks just for the kind of ultimate luxury in Shavasana technology. So just lay yourself down on the floor, lay down along the floor. Just have the blanket underneath your head. If you're wearing glasses, it's nice to take them off. Just the bolster underneath your knees helps to just soften the abdomen, soften the diaphragm, soften the abdomen, soften the lumbar spine. And then just allow yourself to completely let go into the floor. Just make sure you're in a good straight line, because you need to be in order to relax. Close your eyes and then just allow the physical body to completely let go. Just consciously unhooking the muscles of the arms and of the legs. Letting the body become heavy on the floor. And then observe your physical lightness rise into the top of the skin. allowing the physical body to just release into the floor. And wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. Just bend your knees and just rest your feet on the bolster for a moment. Just have a little wriggle in the hips, just swinging the knees from side to side for a moment, just bringing yourself back into this pose of Shavasana, and then draw your knees in towards your chest, and then just have a little rock from side to side, just bringing yourself back into the pose, just a little grounding massage. And then gently roll over onto your right side, and then straighten out the top leg. Come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then radiate that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel like you've given yourself a really deep, intense stretch and the chair has given you just something kind of new to kind of just, to help you to extend a little bit more deeply. So thank you very much for joining me.